Frigid air bit at Voyd's exposed skin as his eyelids slowly fluttered open, revealing a world steeped in a sickly, hazy green. Smoke billowed around him, thick and murky, painting everything in an unsettling, otherworldly glow. A chilling sense of unease permeated the very fabric of his being, a cold dread seeping into his bones. As his fractured mind pieced together the fragments of a recent memory, the crushing weight of his predicament slammed into him. He gasped, a raw, panicked sound, and tried to move, but his limbs refused to obey. His vision sharpened, cutting through the murky green haze, and the stark reality of his prison materialized. He was in a massive, circular dungeon, its impossibly high walls disappearing into a vast, unfathomable abyss above. The stone, slick with an unidentifiable grime, was the same unsettling green, and everywhere, bones lay scattered, some mere fragments, others entire skeletons belonging to creatures Voyd couldn't begin to identify. Chains, thick and corroded, hung like ancient vines from the towering walls, many still clutching the decaying remains of long-dead beings. A ghostly teal luminescence drifted lazily through the cavernous space, a visual echo of the cold whispers and distant, guttural screams that erupted from the seemingly endless depths below. Voyd's gaze drifted downwards, scrutinizing his own form. The grievous wounds sustained during his brutal battle with Lotus had healed, though he had no idea how long he had been unconscious. His relief was swiftly overshadowed by the discovery of his current predicament. He was kneeling, yet suspended, held aloft by several skeleton hands that protruded directly from the green stone wall. They gripped his wrists and shoulders, splaying him in a crucified T-shape, his front exposed and vulnerable. His once proud attire was now nothing but ripped, ragged cloth, his armor dented and cracked, a testament to the savagery of his last encounter. A fresh wave of panic threatened to overwhelm him, and he began the struggle against the restraints. Jaida! Her name tore from his throat, a hoarse whisper that quickly spiraled into a desperate cry. Jaida! Oh, God! He repeated, tugging with all of his might, the bony hands digging painfully into his flesh, but to no avail. Help! Help! He bellowed, his voice raw of terror, echoing eerily into the vast, silent void of the Underrealm. Somebody! Please help me! His frantic pleas bounced off the ancient walls, swallowed by the oppressive silence that followed. Oh, you must be new here. Afraid there's no help, little buddy. A voice, raspy and dry as old parchment, croaked through Voyd's left. He whipped his head around, his eyes locking onto a peculiar sight. Dangling inside a rusted cage that hung from an equally ancient chain was a skeleton. Its head was a vibrant blood-red hue, marred by a stark L-shaped scar etched deeply into its forehead. Even stranger, it was only half a body, its neck connected directly to a pelvis and a pair of skeletal legs that dangled grotesquely from the bottom seams of the cage. Oh, you're in the Underrealm now, boy. No escape from here, no. The skeleton then cackled, a dry, rattling sound. Voyd squinted, his mind still reeling. Who are you? He managed, his voice strained. Suck nasty. That's what the Reapers call me anyways. The skeleton let out another unsettling chuckle. Ugh, how long have you been here? Voyd asked, still testing the strength of his bonds, a faint tremor running through his bones. Long time. I've lost count, but I've seen many in your shoes come and go. Unfortunately, you're still alive, meaning the High Reaper will be coming for you. Best make your peace now. Suck Nasty's words were delivered with a chilling nonchalance. Voyd slowly lowered his head, his futile struggle ceasing, He squeezed his eyes shut, a heavy sigh escaping his lips, and hot tears beginning to stream down his face, cutting paths through his grime. I failed them. I failed all of them, he muttered, his horns dimming, a faint, melancholic hum emanating from them. My people, Jaida, my friends, the realms. Lotus was right. I was in way over my head. A wave of self-loathing washed over him, his head throbbing with each painful memory. Who was I to think I could beat him, when the entire kingdom of Salvaheim couldn't? Voyd's eyes, when he opened them again, were devoid of their usual shine. I carelessly got Jaida wrapped up in my own mess. Now she's... He closed his eyes again tightly, the image of her face flashing behind his eyelids. I can't get to her. I'm trapped. She's gonna die and it's all my fault. He huffed a weary sigh, his gaze fixed on the grime floor. Jaida. Oh, Freckles. My angel. He wept, the words barely audible. My sweet, sweet angel. Suck Nasty leaned forwards in his cage, his empty eye socket seeming to bore in the void. This angel. She means a lot to you, huh? Voyd nodded, a fresh wave of tears blurring his vision. She's the kindest being in the whole universe. Smart, beautiful, the most wonderful soul I've ever met. He said, his shoulders slumping further in defeat. Sounds like you really screwed up. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about it now. Sugnasty stated, gnawing audibly on his cage. Voyd stiffened, shaking his head. No, there has to be something. Anything I can do. Voyd bellowed, pulling on the restraints with renewed, desperate force. This can't be how our story ends. It can't, not after everything we've been through. He tugged harder, the bony hands threatening to tear his skin. It unfortunately is, kid. And no one gets out of this place alive. You're miles below the spectral realm. There's no way to get back up without any... special means. Voyd looked up, his gaze drawn to a faint, soft glimmer of pink far, far above. Hope, fragile as a spider's web, sparked within him, only to be extinguished by Sucknasty's grim pronouncements. Grunting, he hung his head again. There has to be a way. Think, Voyd. Think. The bravery within him urged as his mind began to drift, searching for a solution, any solution. Just then, the air shimmered, and a new doorway tore open from within the solid wall ahead. From its spectral depths, a being manifested, a large, ghastly figure with glowing, malevolent eyes and jagged teeth. Its body was a dark green, ethereal mist, with gnarled branches sprouting atop its head like antlers. Severed floating hands hovered at its sides, and a long, whip-like tail tipped with another spectral hand dragged a menacing scythe as it slowly levitated towards Voyd. Oh, there's the big one! Sugnasty exclaimed, a strange excitement in his voice. But Voyd paid him no mind. He was thinking, straining his mind, shifting through memories. Until an unexpected one surfaced, clear as a sunrise. He and his mother, walking on that wooden bridge on the day his world fell apart. His own voice, years younger, resonated in his head. Whenever I do end up with someone, how will I know? The image solidified for Voyd, them standing over a rushing current. Know if you're in love? His mother's gentle voice replied. The large reaper, silent and terrifying, grew closer. Love is a tricky thing, little one. Her voice echoed, distant yet clear. "You may not fully grasp it when it comes your way, but there are signs to note." Voyd's horns began to hum, a low, resonant thrum. "From my experience, if you truly do love someone, you will do whatever it takes for both of you to last forever." Voyd's body began to hum in response, his seams glowing faintly blue, his veins becoming visible, tracing lines of light under his skin. "That's how you know, for if you find yourself in such circumstances, just listen to your heart. Only then you will know the truth." Voyd slowly opened his eyes, now glowing a brilliant, beautiful blue. Tears still streamed down his cheeks, but they were no longer tears of despair. He ignored the Reaper, which now loomed directly before him, its massive scythe raised. "Jaida," he muttered, looking up, his fists clenching, glowing veins pulsing. Then he thought of her, truly thought of her. All of their shared moments, their races across the city, their heart-to-hearts under the stars, the unrestrained laughter, and that quiet, tender moment in his room. Voyd's heart thudded, a beautiful, powerful rhythm against his ribs, and his eyes widened with a profound realization. "My love," he whispered, the words a sacred vow. As this full acceptance of his feelings coursed through his very soul, Voyd's seams pulsed with a wondrous, blinding glow that rapidly expanded, filling the entire chamber with an ethereal blue light. Then, with a sudden, explosive burst of energy, like a caterpillar shedding its cocoon into a butterfly, Voyd's wings, large and shimmering crystal blue, manifested from his back. The sheer force of their birth ripped his shackles from the wall, scattering the bone shards, and sent the colossal Reaper hurtling backwards across the dungeon, a ghostly shriek escaping its form. Voyd didn't even give himself a moment to process the incredible transformation. Pure instinct, fueled by desperate love, took over his soul. With a powerful, hard flap, he blasted upwards, a blue bullet launching into the abyss, leaving the monstrous dungeon behind him. "Yo!" Sugnasty cried out, his eye sockets seeming to bulge with eyeballs with an excited, rattling laugh. Like a sapphire streak against the oppressive green, Voyd soared through the underrealm, his magnificent wings beating with tireless urgency. He left the dungeon far below, passing dizzying cliffs and cavernous chasms filled with bubbling green lava and the tormented forms of lost souls. He weaved through jagged obsidian-like stones and forests of deadly glowing crystals, his speed increasing with every beat of his heart. Faster and faster he flew, his gaze fixed on the distant, welcoming pink light above. Tears, not of sorrow, but of fierce determination, spilled from his eyes as all he could think of was Jaida, the girl he loved deeply. For a fleeting moment, he acknowledged his new wings, a soft smile gracing his lips, a childhood wish at last manifested. Then, his face stern and resolute, he averted his gaze back upwards. "Hang on, Jaida! I'm coming!" He boasted, his voice echoing in the vastness, as he finally, triumphantly, broke through the light. Within the spectral realm's surface, Pofnu sat securely and serenely within a secluded temple, a pot of stew simmering over a gentle pink flame. Candles cast soft flickering shadows across the ancient stones, lending an air of tranquil ease to the space. Yet, just as a sense of calm began to settle over her, her stew pot and the gentle flame beneath it exploded into a blinding flash of blue light. The fox yelped, leaping back with a startled cry, her naginata instantly materializing in her grasp, its polished blade reflecting the strange light. From the heart of the blue eruption, Voyd emerged, his newly manifested wings wide and shimmering, before gracefully dissolving back in the pure energy. He gasped, panting heavily, his chest heaving, as he calmed himself, Voyd? The deadly claw questioned, her voice laced with shock and disbelief. Voyd looked up, his own eyes widening in surprise at the unexpected face. Pofnu? He asked, looking utterly disheveled, like a homeless warrior who had just emerged from a victorious knife fight. Voyd, what the hell? Where did you come from? What happened to you and... The fox paused, her sharp gaze sweeping over his battered form, then narrowing as she stared sternly at him. Where's your other half? Voyd looked at her, his face grim, the exhilaration of escape suddenly replaced by a heavy dread. About that, I think I could really use your help. Pofnu's eyes widened, a sudden, chilling sense of urgency washing over her. A sharp, high-pitched hum preceded the sudden tear in reality. With a burst of vivid pink energy, a small portal ripped open in the main interior of Salvaheim's castle. Hurry! It doesn't stay open for long! Pofnu shouted, her voice edged with urgency. Without a moment's hesitation, she launched herself through the portal, followed by Voyd. They slid ungracefully onto the floor of the kingdom, their momentum carrying them a few feet before they managed to regain their footing. Voyd, his eyes wide with surprise, stared back at the rapidly shrinking portal. What the heck? You could have just opened one of those and got us here like that? We had to fight a dragon, man! He asked, following Pofnu as she practically sprinted towards the glowing console of the realm station. As they neared, Voyd saw Tater Tot curled beside it, a faint, resonant light emanating from the scales. He was clearly in the process of healing. They're only for emergencies, Ghost! I can only cast them sparingly! Pofnu retorted, her tail flicking with a hint of self-importance. Tater Tot lifted his head slightly, giving a weak but appreciative wag of his tail. Voyd, however, remained unconvinced. Reaching Lotus wasn't an emergency to you? He pressed, his confusion deepening. Pofnu spun to face him, her ears flattening in exasperation. Shut up! Why the hell didn't you soulbind him anyways? I told you to grab him by the light in his chest, did I not? Her frustration was palpable, a thinly veiled anger born of stress and the high stakes of their mission. She returned her attention to the realm station, her nimble digits flying across the luminous keys. We did! Voyd protested, his form shimmering with agitation. But we didn't know how to do it properly! A cosmic map flared the life on the station screen, constellations and planetary bodies swirling in the view. You just focus your energy! Pofnu yelled back, her voice taking on the familiar tone of an older sister. We were under stress, okay? Even then, we still don't know how to properly use it. You don't just give a student driver the keys to a car and just say wing it. Voyd retorted, feeling a surge of annoyance at her unreasonable demands. He heard Pofnu sigh, a sound of profound weariness. I thought you both knew that. Whatever. That's not the point. Was she taken to their small kingdom or their actual kingdom of Ophis? The urgency in her voice cut through their bickering. Voyd tilted his head, his brow furrowed in concentration, his eyes pulsed a deeper shade of violet as he sifted through recent memories. VX's words echoing in his mind. Ophis? Maybe? Viexa did mention that she was going to take Jaida to her true kingdom, but... He trailed off, a flicker of intuition blooming within his chest. Wait, no. No, she's not at the other one. I can sense it. She's... The conviction in his voice surprised even him. Pofnu, already having located the cosmic realm on the station's interface, paused, her gaze fixed on Voyd, a slow nod following his statement. That's a soul bond trait, she explained, her voice softening slightly, a touch of wonder in her tone. If you focus hard enough, you'll be able to sense and find one another with ease, no matter how far. She turned, tossing a tiny, multifaceted crystal that glittered like a corrupted star. Voyd instinctively reached out, his hand catching it. Here, I'm going to stay back and manage the portal for you. When you've got her, I'll open a rift back here. You can communicate with me using this crystal. It'll provide a link for me to speak to you within your mind. Voyd nodded, putting the crystal in his pocket. Thanks. I appreciate it. Pofnu offered a small, reassuring nod, feeling the comforting nuzzle of Tater Tot against her side. When I have Jaida, open a portal for Earth in the mortal realm, Aurora City specifically. That's where Lotus is at, I'm sure of it. Voyd stated, his determination hardening. He gave Pofnu one last grateful nod. Thank you for everything. Yeah, whatever. Quit stalling and go save her, lover boy! The fox declared, a playful glint in her eyes despite the gravity of the situation. Voyd, a faint blush seeping into his cheeks, didn't need any further urging. He took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and stepped through the shimmering gateway Pofnu had opened, disappearing into its light. Within the Golden Kingdom in the cosmic realm, the victorious Wraiths strode with palpable pride. Their vessel was secured, and the air buzzed with self-congratulation. Many cast their gazes ahead, towards the towering spire that pierced the stars, the central hub where Jaida was now being prepared. Deeper within this dominion, far from the tower's vigilant gaze, others indulged in celebration. A grand hallway now echoed with the popping of alien champagne bottles and the boisterous shouts of triumph. But amidst their celebratory clamor, a sudden, blinding burst of gold erupted from the back of the hall. The Wraiths, their revelry instantly silenced, spun around, their excitement quickly twisting in the confusion. The golden portal shimmered, pulsating with an unknown energy before a sharp ripple tore through its surface, announcing an explosive arrival. With a concussive blast, Voyd streaked through, his magnificent wings unfurling behind him like twin auroras, shimmering with a breathtaking electric blue. He scythed through their stunned ranks like a living tempest. The sheer force of his passage, the aftershock of his speed, sent Wraiths careening backwards, their forms scattering like leaves in the wind. Shouts of alarm, confusion, and pain erupted, as Voyd, without breaking a stride, executed a sharp, impossible turn. His powerful wings beat once, twice, propelling him down a gracefully curving corridor. The hall was lined with its familiar gold interior, reflecting his blue aura as he raced past some more Wraiths, their eyes wide with disbelief. He didn't slow, didn't hesitate. With a focused pulse of energy, he slammed into a massive closed door ahead, blasting it from its hinges with a shower of twisted metal and gold. The sudden exertion drained him, a flicker of fatigue crossing his face. He landed hard in the debris, dissolving his ethereal wings as he simultaneously summoned his blade. His eyes, burning with furious intent, fixed on the Wraiths that levitated motionless upon the exterior platform directly ahead. High above, within the formidable tower's top, Viexa floated serenely on a private balcony. Jaida was suspended within a pulsating orange glass containment device, humming ominously beside her. She levitated, a silent, helpless offering, awaiting the arrival of her master. Jaida, however, was not silent in her mind. Her eyes, usually soft, suddenly bloomed with an intense psychic purple, and a soft gasp escaped her lips. Voyd? She whispered, a fragile thread of hope woven into the single syllable. Viexa, her head turning, stared directly at her. What did you just say? She hissed, her voice a low, dangerous rumble. Before Jaida could reply, a smaller Wraith, its form quivering with panic, drifted erratically into the space. Sister Viexa! He's here! The Wraith cried, its voice a terrified whimper. The spark! He's here! He's alive! Viexa's carefully composed features crumbled, her golden mask contorting into rage, while Jaida's eyes, still glowing purple, lit up with a defiant joy. Impossible! Viexa snarled, her voice booming with sudden, unrestrained fury. Lock down the city! He mustn't reach the vessel before Father Nausea arrives! As if on cue, the very air around the tower thronged with ancient power. A shimmering, clear dome shield materialized, encapsulating the entire top section of the tower in an impenetrable barrier. Simultaneously, razor-sharp fences crafted from what appeared to be solidified shadow erupted from the landing pad outside, twisting and weaving into a brutal, Colosseum-like design. Find him! VX's voice echoed, amplified by the distorted reverberations across the entire kingdom. And tear him apart! Below, tears of pure relief and triumph streamed down Jaida's face, a radiant smile stretching across her lips. Back on the lower levels, Voyd plunged back into the fray. He fought with a desperate focused efficiency, his summoned blade a blur of sapphire flashing through the Wraith's alien forms. He leveraged his remaining gauntlet, firing concussive blasts of blue energy that sent his enemies reeling. Most Wraiths, witnessing the raw power of the legendary spark firsthand, scattered, their predatory instincts overridden by raw fear. Yet, a brave few, or perhaps merely the most stupid, dared to meet his might, only to be swiftly dispatched, each one a fallen foe. Voyd pressed forwards, racing through hall after identical hall, ascending higher and higher. The relentless climb, the repetitive architecture, the constant skirmishes. It all began to feel tedious, a wearying treadmill of violence. He burst into what appeared to be a tranquil garden, a stark, almost absurd contrast to the metallic corridors he had just been traversing. Lush, alien flora glowed with soft, bioluminescent hues, and the air was thick with a strange, sweet scent. Before he could appreciate the momentary reprieve, however, a heavy thud reverberated through the space. The doors behind him and the ones directly ahead slammed shut, sealed by an unseen mechanism. Damn it! Voyd snarled, his fist slamming against the unyielding metal slab of the door. He used the forced pause to catch his breath, his chest heaving, his strained eyes darting around the garden, searching for any possible escape, any hidden path forwards. There's gotta be another way ahead, he huffed, trying to force his racing mind to think strategically. Then, a familiar high-pitched voice echoed through the alien foliage, slicing through the rising frustration. Voyd spun around, looking up into the canopy of a towering tree he had been standing beside. His jaw dropped. Oh my god, he muttered. Hello again, Kit Kat. Looks like you got yourself in a nasty pickle with these Wraithies. Voyd shook his head, disbelief momentarily eclipsing his urgency. Meowkery? What the hell are you doing here? The cosmic cat, radiating an unnervingly cheerful aura, dropped lightly from the branch, landing gracefully before Voyd, his ever-present wide smile fixed in place. Same reason as you, my friendy. The nasties took your fellow Kit Kat here, which is no good, no good! Voyd tilted his head, a glimmer of confusion dawning in his eyes. Wait. You're here to rescue Jaida too? Meowkery nodded enthusiastically, his tail swishing like a playful serpent. Yesy! You see, I was here for reasonies. Then I heard the cry of the orange hair girlie. I went to investigate and realized her nightie was gone. I know what these nasty squids are likey. My pasty with them is not pretty, not pretty. So I decided to sneaky my way to the toppy. But now you're here too-y. Meowkery's gaze swept around the sealed garden. It would seem you set off the alarmies, making our mission harder-y. But no worry, I have an idea-y. With that, Meowkery began to trot confidently towards the unyielding door. Voyd's brow furrowed, a new question surfacing. Wait, Meowkery, what do you mean your past with the Wraiths isn't pretty? The cat paused, turning back, his usual unsettling smile still plastered across his face. Oh, well, you see, Myakari's voice trailed off. He closed his eyes. With a slow, agonizing transformation, the wide, unsettling smile on his face slowly, painfully inverted, pulling into a deep, profound frown that twisted his features into an expression of raw sorrow. I know what it's like to lose someone you care about to the wraiths, Voyd. To see them torture a loved one. I was never like this. You see, they're the reason why A visible shiver ran through Myakari's entire body, his form seeming to flicker for a moment, before with a sharp jolt, he snapped back to his default cheery demeanor, the wide smile instantly returning as if it had never left. Why, I'm such a silly meow meow! Very nasty, nasty, nasty orange-haired girl. He doesn't deserve nasty. She deserves pretty! Myakari exclaimed, the high-pitched sound jarring after the brief glimpse of his past. Without another word, he pressed himself flat against the metallic wall. Voyd, still stunned by the sudden painful revelation, reached out as if to comfort, but the words failed him. He watched, mesmerized as Myakari's form shimmered, then seeped into the very panels of the wall, vanishing without a trace. Myakari, Voyd breathed, a newfound understanding coloring his tone. Then, with an echoing shudder, the heavy doors before him swung inwards, revealing a newly accessible corridor. From unseen speakers embedded in the walls, Myakari's chipper voice boomed, now layered with a strange quality. Boomy! I am now in the systemy! I will create a pathy for you, my Kit Kat! Follow the lighties! True to his word, the lights in the corridor ahead began to flash vibrant, urgent reds, illuminating a path through the labyrinth kingdom. Voyd nodded, a weary smile touching his lips, and broke into a sprint. Okay, little guy, he murmured. Maybe you aren't as bad as I thought. He followed the trail of flashing red lights, fueled by a renewed sense of purpose and a surprising ally. With his wings summoned once more, Voyd soared through hall after hall, a blue blur against the golden interior. Myakari, his disembodied voice, his constant guide, effortlessly opened each door, flashing the guiding lights ahead. Voyd plowed through any wraiths foolish enough to stand in his way, driven by pure adrenaline and the urgency of his mission. Room after room, he blasted ahead, ascending rapidly until he reached the tower's central stairwell, a monumental spiral of gleaming metal. As he touched down the first step, Myakari re-emerged from the wall with a playful pop, landing defiantly on Voyd's shoulder. To the toppy! He cried, his tiny voice brimming with excitement. Voyd, a genuine smile gracing his features, nodded. With a powerful beat of his wings, he launched himself into the center of the vast stairwell, looking up at the dizzying height above. Hang on, little buddy! Voyd called out, and then, with another mighty thrust, he roared upwards. Whee! Myakari shrieked in delight as they swiftly neared the pinnacle of the tower. Inside, Viexa furiously typed commands into a control system, her movements jerky with growing panic. Jaida, still contained within her prison, floated helplessly beside the wraith, her face a mask of serene defiance. Lord Lotus, are you there? Viexa bellowed, her voice raspy with desperation. I thought you dealt with the Spock! She screamed into the intercom. Jaida merely smiled, a flicker of mischievous joy in her eyes. Lotus! Why aren't you answering me? Lotus! Viexa cried, her composure utterly shattered. Just then, a brilliant burst of electric blue erupted directly behind her. She rolled around, her squid-like form recoiling, then levitated with a startled gasp out onto the balcony, propelling Jaida's containment device alongside her. Voyd landed with a powerful thud on the landing pad, his magnificent wings unfurling to their full majestic span. Myakari, leaping from his shoulder, landed beside him, his tail coiling and twisting to form a large fist, his expression an angry, unsettling smile. Jaida! Voyd's voice was a cry of pure relief and fierce determination as his wings flared with a magnificent display. Voyd! She cried back, her own joy echoing across the space. You found me! You... Wait, you have wings? She asked, her smile never fading. You! Viexa hissed, her voice a snarl of disbelief, her gaze fixed on the defiant hero. All four figures now stood upon the expansive landing pad. I'm only doing what has been asked of me! She spat, her attempt at a righteous defense sounding hollow and desperate. Voyd and Valkyrie advanced, the air crackling with Voyd's barely contained rage, his eyes flaring with an intense burning blue. Oh, you're so screwed! Jaida cheered from her prison, her voice ringing with delighted conviction. Viex's eyes flickered from Jaida's beaming face to Voyd's infuriated gaze, her features furrowing into an expression of pure, unadulterated hatred. Damn demon child! She muttered, her words laced with venom. Slowly, deliberately, she raised one of her tentacles, unfastening the clasp of her elegant flowing cloak. A collective gasp of disgust rippled through the air. Viexa removed her robes with a savage tear, revealing the horrifying reality beneath. A grotesque red flesh creature. Her body pulsed with a wet, slimy sheen, a nightmarish fusion of octopus and insect. Four smaller humanoid arms, each tipped with wicked claws, unfolded themselves from her chest, completing the monstrous transformation. Her golden head, previously a contrast, now seemed utterly out of place. Guess I have to do everything myself! She groaned, her voice now a guttural rumble, as her transformed body began to shimmer with raw cosmic energy. Then, with a deafening, unearthly roar, she lowered her head, the ornate gold seams on her mask beginning to split, tearing apart like opening wounds. These were not mere decorations, but intricate faceplates, peeling back to reveal the true horror beneath. A monstrous, sharp-toothed alien face contorted in a scream of primordial fury. At the sight of this unspeakable abomination, Voyd and Valkyrie launched themselves forwards as one, their combined might aimed at the monstrous wraith. Viexa, with a chilling shriek of challenge, struck back. The air above the alien landing pad crackled with raw cosmic energy. Viexa moved with a deceptive fluidity, propelling through the atmosphere. Her tendrils spun with wicked speed, lashing out as flares of orange energy erupted from her core, painting streaks across the air. Voyd, fueled by a torrent of emotions, rage, sorrow, and an unwavering love for Jaida, responded with feral grace. His wings, summoned anew, flared, boasting him skywards. His blade became an extension of his fury as he roared, a guttural sound torn from his very being. He wasn't aiming for a kill, but he wasn't holding back. With a desperate downward strike, he plunged his glowing blade deep in the Viexa's side. Just as the wraith shrieked, a blur of feline fury erupted from below. Valkyrie, eyes narrowed with seriousness, sprang upwards, his tail expanded to a size disproportionate to his chubby body. With a grunt of effort, he punched the alien full force beneath her tangled tendrils, sending her reeling backwards. The impact dislodged Voyd, who backflipped gracefully to the ground, landing in a crouch. Around them, the capsule containing Jaida levitated gently above the landing pad. Inside, Jaida watched, her face etched with a mix of terror and exhilarating hope, her gaze fixed on the battle unfolding for her freedom. Viexa spat. Our sacrificial lamb will meet her destiny. You cannot defy the faith of a god. Her voice, a rasping mockery, echoed across the platform as she conjured several pulsating orange orbs of cosmic energy, hurtling them with malevolent intent towards Voyd and Valkyrie. The duo split, dissolving in the two blurs of motion. Voyd, moving with immense, almost ethereal speed, launched himself off the launching pad's shimmering barrier, his body a graceful arc. He soared back down, his fist blazing with collected energy. He clocked Viexa squarely in the side of her face. The wraith's disgusting body buckled, a wet thunk against the platform. She writhed, her larger, thicker tendrils whipping through the air, aiming to ensnare Voyd. But before she could connect, Valkyrie intervened again, His two front paws elongated and expanded to ridiculous cartoonish proportions, snapping around VX's flailing tendrils like living clamps. With a mighty tug, he yanked her backwards off balance.
"You're messed up in the heady, and that's saying a lot coming from me."
With an unbelievable feat of strength, he swung the colossal wraith overhead and slammed her down onto the landing pad in a perfectly executed suplex. The impact shuddered through the entire structure, leaving both Voyd and Jaida momentarily dumbfounded by the sheer audacity of the maneuver. Enraged, VX let out a piercing shriek, her body glowing with a furious pulse of cosmic energy. The blast sent Valkyrie flying, his form cartoonishly splattering against the far barrier wall, dissolving into a puddle of goo before slowly, impossibly, reforming into his usual chubby self.
"Foolish! Why do you defy grace?"
VX snarled, no longer bothering with levitation. She lunged at Voyd, her tendrils dragging her along the ground like segmented legs of a monstrous spider, her eyes glinting with malice. The two engaged in a brutal, swift combat. Voyd's blade flashed and sliced, parrying and deflecting VX's whipping tendrils.
"You dare not speak!"
she hissed, trying to penetrate his mind with her venomous words. But Voyd merely met her gaze, a silent horn pulse rippling from him, a wordless challenge that spoke of volumes. His eyes, burning with fierce resolve, communicated all the Wraith needed to know. VX staggered, her faceplates peeling open like a grotesque flower, revealing a gaping maw from which a high-pitched shriek erupted. Voyd in turn opened his own mouth, releasing a raw primal roar that met hers head-on. As the Spartan Wraith fought, Valkyrie reformed completely. He blinked, then gazed upwards at Jaida's capsule. With a stretch and a comical grunt, he launched himself onto the capsule's surface, peering over the edge at Jaida upside down. "Ah!" she gasped, startled, stepping back into the capsule.
"Don't worry, my friendy. The silly Meow Meow is here to rescue thee,"
the cat proclaimed, his voice muffled by the thick glass, as he began to fiddle with the capsule's delicate mechanisms. "Valkyrie?" Jaida asked, a flicker of hope in her voice, even as the violent clash of the battle below raged on. VX had managed to snare Voyd in a tangle of her powerful tendrils, slamming him from one side to the other with brutal force.
"You disgusting Spock thing! I will break you, and I will shatter you!"
she screamed, before flinging Voyd hard against the landing pad. He bounced, slid, absorbed the impact, and then with sheer force of will, forced himself back upright.
"We have waited too long to reach this moment. Our beautiful warthog awaits his rebirth, and I will not allow some sappy teenage love to override prophecy!"
VX bellowed, preparing for a silent, crushing strike. Yet, before her tendrils could descend, the Wraith jolted. From her shoulder blades, two shimmering orange cosmic blades burst forth, connected by glowing lines of pure energy. These blades then expanded, morphing into large, four-sided hooks that were pulled back, embedding themselves deeper in the VX's resilient body. She lurched, a thick wad of vicious orange blood gushing from the wounds. Then, with a sudden powerful yank, she was forcefully reeled backwards, spinning around to face her unseen assailant. Voyd's eyes widened. There, standing tall with Valkyrie perched on her shoulder, was Jaida. Her face was a mask of grim, resolute anger, her hands glowing with a fierce, ethereal light as she held VX in a powerful grip. "You took my family," Jaida growled, her voice low and dangerous. "You will not take me or my boy!" Her cosmic energy flared, a blinding orange aura radiating from her, making VX falter and scream, caught between the hooks and Jaida's newfound power.
"You cannot escape your destiny! It is prophecy, child!"
the Wraith shrieked, struggling against her bonds. Jaida's hair whipped around her, her eyes flaring a hellish orange that matched her surging power.
"Screw prophecy!"
she snapped back, her voice ringing with newfound authority. With a surge of pure, unadulterated strength, Jaida began to spin, revolving on the spot. Viexa, still impaled by the hooks and held fast by Jaida's grip, was swung in widening circles, her massive body a helpless screaming blur. Finally, with a primal roar of pure rage, Jaida dismissed her essence, releasing the wraith with a final explosive shove. Viexa launched through the air, screaming, crashing through the clear barrier of the platform, a shrapnel shower of shimmering fragments following her. She flew far, a dismissive speck against the cosmic backdrop, before plummeting down into the sprawling city below, disappearing from sight, her fate ultimately unknown. As Viexa vanished, the shimmering fence and invisible barrier around the landing pad flickered and faded, reverting back to its ordinary structure. Meowkery sprang off Jaida's shoulder, landing lightly before his gaze turned stern, staring out at the distant city.
"And thatty is why you don't be a dickie,"
he declared, a triumphant giggle bubbling from his throat. "Jaida?" Voyd asked, standing tall, his eyes glistening with unshed tears and profound relief. Jaida turned, her own eyes widening into saucers of disbelief and joy. "Voyd?" she breathed. Both ran forwards, converging in the middle of the platform. With a joyful cry, Jaida leapt, launching herself into Voyd's arms. The spark spun her in a slow, tender circle, both laughing and crying simultaneously, a cathartic release of tension and fear. Above them, the cosmic sea of stars swirled in brilliant orange and blue hues, shimmering down upon them with magnificent, silent constellations, bearing witness to their reunion. They stumbled, falling gently to land upon their rears, seated practically in each other's laps. They couldn't stop the tide of gleeful laughter that washed over them, their eyes locked in a profound, intimate gaze. Voyd, catching his breath, felt a rush of emotions, joy, love, and a touch of lingering sadness coalescing onto his face. "Jaida," he began, tears finally streaming freely down his freckled cheeks. "From the day we met, I felt something the likes of which I've never felt before. When you took off my helmet and looked into my eyes for the first time, I was overwhelmed by the most wonderful sensation." His voice was thick with emotion, raw and earnest. "Our journey together, through all the hardships and joys, never in my life have I felt such joy, such compassion. You're my angel, Jaida, my light." He reached for her hands, his touch extremely tender. Jaida's eyes were wide and glossy, her jaw hanging agape as she trembled, every cell of her being resonating with his words. "Jaida Woods, Voyd started again, but before he could finish, Jaida, overcome, grabbed him by the head and pulled him into a deep, passionate kiss. A beautiful, soft purple shimmer pulsed around them, a manifestation of their intertwined souls, as they both enacted upon the deep, unspoken longing that had grown between them. Voyd, leaning into the kiss, wrapped his arms tightly around Jaida, pulling her fully against him. Both smiled, eyes closed, lost in the moment. They stayed there for a long time, feeling each other's warmth, the soft pressure of their lips, until at last they slowly, reluctantly, pulled apart. Their eyes met once more, brimming with profound emotion. "I love you," Jaida whispered, tears tracing paths down her cheeks. "I love you too," Voyd replied, his voice husky as they leaned in for a second, equally tender kiss. For a long few moments, they remained, intertwined within the wonder of their love. But the blissful silence was abruptly shattered by the rapid sound of clapping from their side. They pulled back, startled, turning their heads. There, sitting on his bum and clapping his little paws, a wide, unchanging grin plastered across his face, was Meowkery.
I now pronounce you as husbandy and wifey,
the cat declared, making both Voyd and Jaida chuckle through their emotions. Voyd's face, however, quickly dropped, his gaze turning serious as he looked back at Jaida. Freckles, we gotta get back to Earth. Lotus, he threatened our friends. He's probably there as we speak. Jaida's brow furrowed, a sudden cold sweat prickling at her skin. The joy of the moment receded, replaced by immediate urgency. Oh, crap. All right, yeah, let's go. She stuttered, and together they both stood.
I wish you luck, my friendies. I will stay behind and keep these other nasty squids backy.
Meowkery declared. The duo nodded, a shared understanding passing between them. Thank you again, Meowkery, Voyd said, a genuine warmth in his voice. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I hope we see you again soon. The cat nodded.
Don't know any, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
With that, he winked, and then with a familiar pop, disappeared into another inky black hole, leaving only the echo of his words. God, he's so weird, Jaida remarked, a small smile touching her lips, even as Voyd pulled out the crystal. Hey, I got Jaida. Ready that portal for Earth, Voyd called out, a direct mental command to the ghostly being. Moments later, a shimmering golden portal tore open beside them, swirling with familiar energy. Pofnu's calm voice resonated directly within Voyd's mind, as well as Jaida's, as she too was near the stone. Very well. It would seem Lotus is deploying troops all across the realms as some kind of celebratory attack. My sisters have called upon me to act. I wish you both the best of luck. Voyd nodded, a silent acknowledgement. However, Pofnu added, before I send you through, I believe your friend here could be of some use in the fight. Just as the words faded, a massive form marched through the shimmering portal. Tater-tot, healed, rejuvenated, and bristling with divine energy, let out a thunderous roar, ready for battle. Voyd and Jaida looked up at their newly returned companion, and a wide, determined smile spread across their features. The shimmering portal, spun from pure golden light, tore open in the air above Aurora. From its luminous depths, Tater-tot burst forth, his powerful wings beating against the thin reality that separated the realms. Astride him, Voyd and Jaida gazed down upon their home. What they witnessed made their hearts plummet like stones within their chests. The city of Aurora, usually a beacon of vibrant energy, was now a torn storm of chaos. Glitches, their forms flickering and distorted, roamed the streets, sending terrified citizens scrambling for cover. The air was thick with a cacophony of battle, the cackle of weapons, the shouted commands of law enforcement and military units fighting a losing battle, and the ominous hum of news choppers and jets circling overhead. Darkened, red-tinged clouds rolled across the sky, oppressive and suffocating, while certain districts glowed with the angry orange of uncontrolled fires, painting the horizon with despair. By Matira, Voyd breathed, his voice barely a whisper, a hollow dread settling in his gut. Jaida beside him instinctively clapped a hand over her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. In the distance, an impossible sight commanded their attention. A colossal jagged mass, pulsating with malevolent energy, levitated eerily above the shattered cityscape. And above that, an even larger glitch tear ripped into the very fabric of the sky, wormholing inwards with terrifying, wave-like movements, threatening to swallow the world whole. Not again, Jaida whispered, a chilling echo of the past in her voice. Their eyes narrowed with a sudden, shared dread, darted towards a familiar landmark. Nox's workshop. The entire garage side of the building was utterly ravaged, a gaping maw of twisted metal and splintering wood. "Voyd!" she cried, pointing a trembling finger downwards. Snapping the reins, Voyd urged Terrata into a steep, urgent descent. The majestic creature landed with a jarring thud in the front yard of the workshop, sending dust and debris scattering. Voyd and Jaida dismounted in a single fluid motion, their shoes pounding against the wreckage-strewn grounds as they sprinted towards the damaged interior. "Knock! Cut!" Jaida's voice was sharp with fear, echoing in the cavernous ruin. "Jamie!" Voyd shouted, his own voice laced with escalating panic as the interior of the garage came into full view. It looked as if a tornado had been unleashed within its walls, scattering tools, equipment, and parts indiscriminately. "Toby?" Jaida called again, her voice cracking with worry. Then again, louder, more desperate. "Toby! Where are you, boy?" A soft whimper followed by the distinctive scuffle of small paws. From a miraculously hidden space amidst the rubble, Toby emerged shaking. In his mouth, he carefully carried Voyd's helmet. The advanced piece of technology had healed itself over from its previous damage, its visor now gleaming. "Oh, Toby! Toby!" Jaida cried out, an overwhelming wave of relief washing over her. She slid to her knees, arms wide open. Toby carefully set the helmet down beside her, and then pounced into her embrace, whimpering softly but wagging his tail furiously. Jaida buried her face in his fur, stroking the dog repeatedly, tears blurring her vision. Voyd, meanwhile, recovered his helmet. With a practiced motion, he activated it. "Jet!" he asked, the familiar digital face of the AI companion blinking into existence upon the visor.
"Voyd! Jaida! Oh, by Darthy and Spear! Thank goodness you're both alright!"
Jet's voice, usually calm and composed, was laced with an unusual urgency. Voyd held the helmet close. "Jet! What happened? Knock, caught the others are they?" Jet's digital features furrowed, a simulated expression of profound unease.
"Lotus. He took them. Knock caught Jamie, as well as your friends. He has them."
The AI's words hung heavy in the air, a cold weight of dread settling over Voyd and Jaida as they exchanged a grim look. "No," Jaida gasped, looking to the large mass in the sky.
"But they made you something,"
Jet continued, his tone shifting slightly.
"Just for you both. Something I think could be incredibly useful in this moment in time to get them back."
He paused, then added,
"Turn around."
Slowly, the duo complied. There, impossibly, miraculously still standing amidst the devastation, were two pristine outfits.
"I heard them being so excited to show you, before I was tossed in here to scare them."
Jet explained, a hint of sorrow in his digital voice. Voyd and Jaida stepped forwards, their eyes wide with disbelief and a flicker of hope.
"New gear, my friends. Voyd, the armor is yours. Jaida, the cloak."
Voyd's attire was a magnificent suit of armor, rendered primarily in a striking scheme of vibrant blue, gleaming silver, and subtle hints of golden pinks. Its design spoke of both protection and elegance. Broad, sculpted shoulder pads, a robust chest plate, and a dark blue belt embedded within a vibrant spark crest. Beneath, a form-fitting dark blue shirt and pants offered flexibility. Gauntlets encased the forearms, and stylized leg armor completed the formidable silhouette. A small, vibrant orange crystal heart, glowing softly, was embedded precisely into the center of the blue chest piece. Wrapped around the base of the neck, a long, sparkly scarf flowed gracefully, transitioning from a rich blue to a brilliant purple at its tailing end. Voyd reached out, his fingers tracing the smooth, cool texture. He tilted his head, catching his reflection in the polished chest plate. "What?" he murmured, a sense of wonder in his voice. Jaida then approached her own ensemble, gently setting Toby down beside her to explore. Her outfit was a symphony of warm tones: vibrant orange, fiery red, and deep maroon, accented with crisp white. It featured a short, flowing poncho-like garment with an inviting orange gradient, its edges meticulously lined with white trim. A unique hooded segment, tipped with a whimsical white curly point, adorned the poncho's top, clipped together at the front by a delicate light blue diamond heart-shaped jewel. Beneath the striking outer layer, a dark maroon undershirt with a V-shaped design at the waist, bisected by a central line, provided a sleek foundation. White gloves with orange cuffs matched elegant boots of the same intricate patterns. Her inner pants were also maroon, concealed by a belt from which 3 draping pelt-like pieces cascaded downwards, creating a unique, dynamic skirt. 2 orange flaps wrapped around the rear and hips, with an extra draping piece suspended below the white belt's central gold clip. On the belt itself, small engraved notes were visible. Jaida's outfit, the Cosmic Angel. Voyd's outfit, the Astral Knight. They made us these? Jaida asked, her fingers brushing against the soft yet durable fabric. Her old, torn cloak felt suddenly inadequate. Wow, they really outdid themselves. She looked down at her own worn and tattered attire, then at Voyd's equally battle-scarred gear. I guess it's time we ditch these things. Look at us. Voyd was still mesmerized by his armor. Blue? Jaida prompted playfully, noticing his focus on the primary color. He turned, a firm nod of affirmation. Slowly, he unslung his bag and began to strip off his old, worn armor, revealing the tattered clothes beneath. Jaida followed suit, shedding her equally ragged garments. Once their old looks were discarded, Jaida flared her energy, and a soft, ethereal shimmer warped the new outfits over their bodies. They both looked down, adjusting to the unfamiliar yet perfectly tailored additions. Oh, that is comfy, Jaida said, flushing her robe-like pieces outwards, feeling the new freedom of the movement. It feels good, Voyd added, flexing his fingers within the new gauntlets and holding Jet by his side. I've always wanted my own armor. It's perfect, the Spark said, a genuine smile gracing his lips as he looked at Jaida. You look amazing, she smiled. Thanks, she replied, a faint blush rising. You as well. Together, they turned, facing the large, ruined doorway that opened out onto the devastated city. Voyd's scarf billowed gently in the wind, mirroring the sway of Jaida's hood. They marched forwards. Toby smartly sat back, staying behind. They stood at the torn entrance, overlooking the city, Tater-Tot awaiting them. We do this together, Jaida said, her eyes meeting Voyd's, a fierce determination replacing the earlier dread. Together, he echoed, his face set, ready for anything. With a definitive movement, Jaida pulled her new hood up and over her head, the action embodying her Cosmic Angel self. Voyd, lifting Jet, placed the helmet firmly over his head. Instantly, Jet's AI seamlessly connected to the new armor. The visor's hue shifted, transforming from its standard blue to a sharp, fiery orange, a beacon of purpose and matching colors. They stared back out at Aurora, their home, their world, a stark canvas of destruction. Reaching out, they found one another's hands, a silent pact, a profound sense of comfort and strength passing between their clasped fingers. Together, unified, they prepared to approach the final fight.